Good morning, YouTube. Happy New Year's. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope you had a great night last night. Hope you walked into 2023 feeling awesome. Hope you're starting to recognize that this is a new year and things are going to start happening this year. I got a feeling. See, God has been allowing me to sit back and observe and watch everything that's going on in this world. Things are being exposed, the lights are being turned on, and the roaches and the rats are running. See, I want people of God to realize that without God and our constitutional rights and our freedom, we don't have this great country that we have. See, we got to understand, and I hope the churches start to understand that you got to understand what the constitutional rights and the freedoms are in this world. I hope you understand that if somebody's out recording and taking pictures of your church, they ain't out there to hurt you. They're exercising their First Amendment. Until they actually do something that is threatening to the church, something that is actually hurting and harming the church, there's no crime committed. See, unfortunately, our churches have become such a secret group that they're so scared of somebody exercising their constitutional rights and their freedom. The Second Amendment is actually one of them. But the First Amendment is the one that grants us our freedom of religion and our freedom of speech and our freedom to share information called the freedom of press. It's a way of holding our government accountable. So if you see somebody recording in a public sidewalk or a public area, accessible area, what I can see, I can record. See, here's the great thing about America. Photography is not a crime. Recording and filming our police is not a crime. Recording and filming buildings inside and out, unless they have it marked or posted, is not a crime. See, outside the building, if I can see it, I can record it. And our churches need to understand, they need to support those constitutional rights. And if you see somebody out there doing it, go out there and say, hey brother, thank you for doing your constitutional duties. Brother or sister. See, we're starting to allow this junk that's on the internet to corrupt our minds. It's corrupting our minds so bad that we're so guarded when we need to express God's love to people. We need to share God's love, not acting so defensive and so aggressive, because that's what they're going to see on these YouTube videos. These First Amendment audit videos. If you're a church and they're taking pictures and you're going out aggressive and you're going out and saying, I'm going to call the cops on something that they're not doing anything and they're not hurting you and they're not committing a crime, people are going to see that on the internet. See, what goes on the internet is that first impression. And people go off of first impressions. A lot of times if they see your church, it's going to put a negative light on your church. I'll be honest, I don't go to church because I see a lot of hypocritical people in church. They want to talk about freedom of religion, but if you try to exercise your other rights, they get mad or they get frustrated, or they want you to worship God in their way, when God himself has said that he will come to you if you read his Bible. Study and show thyself approved. Also, he says that what I read and what you read might mean a different thing to each other, but God's love is always the same. So if you go out to them with love and just say, hey, thank you for exercising your First Amendment, and we walk away, that's a better idea. See, 2023 needs to be the time when America starts to wake up. The church starts to accept that people are going to exercise their constitutional rights and their freedom. And we don't need those Karens out there or those people that are out there to disrupt and destroy our freedoms. If you see people exercising their freedoms, holding signs on the side of the sidewalks, realize that that's an expression of First Amendment. Our First Amendment is under attack because law enforcement hates our First Amendment. They hate being recorded. And the worst thing in the world is to lose our First Amendment. Remember, the first is the first for a reason. And I'm going to tell you today that if we lose our First Amendment, we're going to lose that ability to share information to our neighbors. To those people down the road or across the country or across the state or in the next city. Hey, this is what's actually going on. See, our Freedom of Information Act that we have is that it's our freedom to get that information from the government. You need to learn what the Freedom of Information Act is. You need to learn what the complaint forms are for when you're complaining to the local law enforcement or even government and putting out and saying this is what happened. You record it. Use this device that you got in your pocket. Use this device that you got in your pocket to record government. You see a cop stopped and they got somebody stopped. I hate to say it, but recording is the best way to hold them accountable. See, we can't trust law enforcement 100% anymore because too many times law enforcement is corrupt. Law enforcement lies, cameras don't. So when you call cops on somebody exercising their First Amendment or even their Second Amendment, carrying their guns, then I'm telling you, you're violating their liberties and their freedom. We don't want people to violate our freedoms and our liberties. So if they're standing outside your church and they're expressing their First Amendment, ignore what they're doing. Go on with your day. Mind your business and let them do it. Yes, if they're talking negative about your church or negative about your religion, that's their First Amendment. But God will hold them accountable. Remember, you're not the judge. God is. God is the judge of those people. How you worship God is your religion. See, we need true patriotic Americans, Christian Americans, to start standing up, building that chain across America that is strong, it is tight, it is ready to stand up against this evil and destroy this evil that has tried to destroy this country. And I'm getting tongue-tied. But anyways, see, we need all the truth of what's actually going on to be exposed. And the only way to expose it is to go get that information. And getting that information means every way possible. Recording them. Go get the information. Go do your research. And the churches need to expose and teach. And the churches need to stand up and teach the Constitution. Because the Constitution is of God. The constitutional rights are of God. So if you're teaching the Bible, you need to teach the constitutional rights too. If you're teaching God's words, teach that we have the rights to stand up against our government. You need to teach your people, your congregation, that you have the right to stand up against government. You have these constitutional rights, and you know what they are. You can go read them. You can go First Amendment, Second Amendment, Third Amendment, all of them. See, if you go ask cops what the First Amendment, 5 parts of the First Amendment are, most cops don't understand what they are. You go ask a cop what the Third Amendment is. They have no clue. See, and you ask most people what your constitutional rights are. They don't understand. This is where I would hope the church would pick this up and start teaching it. Let alone the schools would start teaching this in school again. Because if you don't understand your rights, you're going to lose them. So actuality, hey churches, You are the First Amendment. Your religion, your exercise of worshiping God and expressing your love for God, that's your First Amendment. See, God may take forms in so many different ways to people. I'm not the one to judge. I'm not going to judge Muslims. I'm not going to judge Islam. I'm not going to judge the Baptists, the Presbyterians. The only ones I judge are the ones that are not of God. And that's the satanic cult. And that's the ones that are tied into the satanic cult. And yes, I've got a few preferences in my head that I will not discuss here. You can go do that, watch that, and get that information. There's a new channel I'm just raving about. And this is where I wish the churches would actually get it and watch it, because it'll show you where Satan is. It's called Burrow. This channel will expose Satan. This channel exposes the evil that is in this world. I mean, it's so intense that the church needs to understand where God is and where Satan is. It needs to tell your children to stay away from these different areas. See, that's what the churches is for. It's to educate the people, and the people educate their children, and and it builds that bond, it builds that community. So, churches, start teaching the constitutional rights to your congregation. Start building that community. Start understanding that photography is not a crime. Freedom of speech and freedom of religion and freedom to express ourselves and freedom to hold our government accountable by protesting and all that other stuff is not wrong. It's our rights. And this is why I love living where I live, because it's so beautiful out here, so quiet and peaceful. I can exercise my rights. I can go into town and exercise my rights. See, Texas is a beautiful state. We can exercise our rights. See, unfortunately, too many people are scared of retaliation from the law enforcement and from local government and from the corruption that's in our government. See, we need the government to be scared of the people, not the people scared of the government. And the churches need to hold the local government accountable. They need to teach how to do that. The churches need to speak up against evil. If you're a part of a church, please share this, because the church needs to stand up for God. They need to be warriors of God. See, too many times we don't have the warriors out there speaking, and we have too many cowards that are scared to do anything and say anything in churches. Once they live by Sunday they're a Christian, and during the week they're not, and they're too scared to express how they feel about their local government. They're too scared to go to those school boards because they might get arrested. If you get arrested, falsely arrested, guess what? That's a lawsuit. If they violate your rights, that's a lawsuit. There's things called probable cause, or RAS, reasonable articulable suspicion. There's a lot of videos and a lot of channels that talks about this. And the churches need to be teaching this. The churches need to be speaking up about the truth. Besides God's word, they need to share God's word and share the truth, because the truth is what sets you free. So I hope you share this, and I hope you have a Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's 2023. Make this year great. Make this year the time that you're going to wake up your neighbors and wake up your family and friends and explain what your constitutional rights and your freedoms are. Explain what's actually going on in America. Share the statistics and everything else. All information, because all information helps build that community. See, I can go and share all the information I can share on the internet, but until you open your mind and open your ears and you're willing to listen, I can't do a thing for you. Even with my friends and my family, I try to discuss the truth. They shut me down because they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it because, it's just too evil. It's too bad. How are you going to change it if you don't understand it? If you don't understand it, you can't change it. Or you can't fix it. And you can't, that's like going in and trying to work on an engine when you can't fix it because you don't understand it. So actuality, please get educated on your rights. Happy New Year's 2023. Make this year great. Make America great. Make our people educated and great, and warriors for God and for our country. Make it to what we used to have a long time ago. Those guys willing to die for this country. Those men and women that have died for this country. They were warriors, and they were not scared. They were not cowards. So make it great. God bless. Welcome to Texas. See you on the next video.